So a couple of months ago, I made an interesting video about Novak's ridiculously high floor at the majors. Now, that video was actually inspired by Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, out of all people, and the bookies, because the bookies said that Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, I love to say that name, that Alejandro Davidovich Fokina has a 17 to 18 to maybe even 20% chance at beating Novak Djokovic at the French Open round 3. I found that really interesting. I was mind blown because I thought that everybody knew this, especially the bookies whose job is to know this, that Novak is simply not going to lose to world number 20 something who was never top 5, never did anything at major, isn't some sort of a tennis prodigy or something. No matter which circumstances, no matter which court, which surface, which Novak, which opponent, it doesn't matter. He's just not going to lose to those guys. He has a perfect record with those guys when he's remotely healthy. Like, he's just simply not losing. And the other funny thing is that when, I'm kind of watching the match and I'm on Twitter scrolling and everybody's just freaking out. Like, oh my God, Novak lost the set. He's going to lose. Have you watched Novak? Have you watched Novak? I'm only say, have you ever watched Novak in 2021? 2021, this guy won 27 straight major matches and he lost, I forgot the exact number. I think it was between 18 to 20. Like the optimal Leonardo DiCaprio dating age range. 18 to 20 sets. To world number 100 something. To world number 50 something. To 20 something. Did you watch the Musetti match? 6-7, 6-7, 6-1, 6-0, 4-0. Like, sometimes I legit think that this guy is trolling. Like, he has to hurt himself. He has to lose sets to actually feel something, to feel motivation, because he's done everything. He has won everything so many times. He's just bored. He's playing these guys that he knows that he cannot lose, that he knows he's better, which is just, I don't know, trolling or toying with them. He has to fight with the crowd to gain some motivation. Now, I don't know how this exactly works in his mind, but I'm pretty sure that some days he's just not really motivated. He just wants to be home playing with his children, and, he has to play this match, and this guy, world number 50 something, 20 something, doesn't matter. He's going to go out there and it's just boring. It doesn't hit the same. Like, it's just boring. So I thought that, Novak is just never losing to these guys. So even if Popyrin would have won the third set, Novak would win in 5. Like no worries whatsoever. We have seen this script so many times. No worries whatsoever. Now, there is going to be a day on which I'm going to look like a complete idiot, because I'm going to be completely wrong in this video. That on that day, Novak is going to lose to somebody. And Novak pretty much said this. He is going to play until he loses to the younger guys. Now, in the perfect scenario, he loses like a big final versus a young player like Alcaraz, and then he retires. And a lot of people thought that was the 2023 Wimbledon. A lot of people thought, okay, this was the passing the torch moment. 20-year-old Alcaraz took it from the 36-year-old Novak, or vice versa. The 36-year-old Novak gave it to the 20-year-old Alcaraz, and Novak is just going to ride off to the sunset. Something similar to Roger Federer. He's never going to come back. Maybe he's going to make one more run at the best major for him, the Australian Open, and that's pretty much it. That's not what happened. It was kind of the opposite. I mean, Alcaraz is still great, but he hasn't won a tournament since, and Novak has won almost everything that he played. So, that did not happen, and Novak is still here. I think what's going to happen with Novak is that there is going to be a day in which he's actually going to lose to a guy who's he not supposed to lose. And then he's going to maybe doubt himself. Maybe he's going to be injured a bit. Maybe he's going to be, he's obviously going to be old. He's going to think to himself, do I really want to do this? Maybe he's going to try 1 or 2 more times and then he's going to retire. I'm not sure, but that is my prediction when it comes to Novak's retirement. Now, I'm not sure when will that happen. Hopefully not soon, because the only thing that keeps him going is probably the Olympic Games, because he has every other record. But if he wins the Olympic Games, that might happen next year. I'm not really sure, but that might happen next year. And this is kind of the GOAT thing, because look, the great champions will never retire on top. I mean, there is, you can say Michael Jordan, you can say Khabib Nurmagomedov, but Khabib had outside circumstances with his father passing away, unfortunately. You can maybe say Nico Rosberg, Formula 1 2016, but that was also different because he was chasing Lewis Hamilton all the time, arguably the F1 GOAT. And when he finally beat him, he was like, I'm done. I don't need anything else in life. I have one championship. I don't care about winning more. This was ridiculously hard. I worked my whole life to do it. I finally did it. It's enough for me. So, a lot of times the great champions are going to go out in a losing streak. And that's really sad to see, but, it is what it is. Now, when it comes to this Australian Open, it does, slightly feel different because Novak has that lingering wrist injury. And you can clearly see that this guy is just not pushing his forehand. He's just playing passive-ass shots. His forehand is horrible. I mean, he's just top-spinning, lobbing. I mean, the forehand is really looking bad. Flatness, low-pace shots. And also kind of not really destroying because that's kind of a Novak signature thing. Okay, he loses a set, but by the fourth set, he's just destroying his opponents. He's just winning 6-0, 6-1, 6-2. Today, it was 6-3 versus Dino. It was 6-4, but it was kind of tight. A couple of balls bounced differently. Maybe it could have gotten a little bit more exciting. So it does feel a bit different this year. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to be 100% confident in my prediction that Novak is just, basically bullshitting around and he's just kind of bored. But yeah, sometimes, or something is maybe going on there. Now, one more thing that I wanted to say in this video is that the COVID thing kind of disguised the fact that Novak is basically a part-timer right now. And being a part-timer is not really, maybe it's not that great for your health, because I was watching a WWE video in which those guys were actually explaining how being a part-timer is bad for your health because you have a ring rust. And your body's not used to taking shots all the time. Your body's not used to, working matches all the time. So if you're not fighting for 6 months, when you go back, everything's going to hurt. You're going to get injured. Everything's going to suck. So, Novak basically being a part-timer, I don't think that helps him a lot. Because if you remember, he took a 2-month break after the US Open. Yes, he technically played a match. He won Paris. He won the ATP finals. He was playing in the Davis Cup. He lost to Yannick Sinner. And everybody was like, oh, he shouldn't have played the Davis Cup. Oh, it was too much. He should, pick his tournaments, blah, blah, blah. Dude, 10 years prior to that, 2013, Novak lost, actually, the 2013 US Open final. But then he played in Beijing, won the tournament, played in Shanghai, won the tournament, played in Paris, won the tournament, and played in London, the season-ending finals, won every single match and the tournament. And he also played Davis Cup versus Canada, won every single match, and then versus Czech Republic in the finals, won every single match, but Serbia ended up losing. So this guy, on a full-blown schedule, he was fully healthy, beating everybody, flawless tennis, and now in 2023 you're like, oh, is he going to play this is too much, blah blah blah. So I don't think that's really smart. I totally understand him. He has no motivation at even playing Masters tournaments. Now I made a prediction that he's actually going to play Indian Wells in Miami. When I think about it, this guy's probably taking a 2-month break. He's probably not playing anything besides probably Dubai until Monte Carlo. And I'm not even sure he's playing Monte Carlo. Like, I'm 100% sure he's not playing Canada. And like 90% sure he's not playing Cincinnati because of the Olympic Games. So he's, like, his Masters record is just going to, his Masters playing percentage is going to take a dip because he's going to play like 4 or 5 Masters tournaments per year. Maybe even less if you think about it. So, there is definitely a lack of motivation when it comes to Novak. And you actually saw that in the 2016 Wimbledon, which kind of started the, the downfall of Novak for 2 seasons. Because he came off winning the French Open, finally winning the French Open, the missing piece. He had all 4 slams, and everybody was like, okay, this guy's completely unbeatable. And then a more motivated Andy Murray, who was chasing him all the time, ended up winning almost every tournament until the end of the season. And Novak lost to Sam Querrey, who was actually a really good grass player, but it's Sam Querrey. He's not Roger Federer. He's a, guy who has a great serve, great forehand, solid volleys, but he's just a serve bot. Novak beats those guys all the time. Ended up losing to Sam Querrey, played a really weird US Open when everybody was forfeiting to him. And then, he lost to Murray at the season-ending tournament. He had some bad losses before that. So, definitely lack of motivation. And then, of course, the 2017 horrible season. Definitely lack of motivation. And this goes kind of the other way, too. Because if you listen to Carlos Alcaraz, he keeps saying, like, I want to play a final versus Novak. You know why? Because that was the best moment of his life. He was playing the Wimbledon final versus Novak Djokovic. Biggest stadium in the world, not the biggest, but the highest rated, the cream of tennis, 7-time champion, the GOAT, and you beat him. Like, what's better than that? You're not going to be thrilled to play, I don't know, world number 113 at the ATP 500. Like, you don't care about that. You don't really care about it. And if you look at Alcaraz's record, he has fallen off. He hasn't won a single tournament since the Wimbledon. So, I mean, there is an obvious factor when it comes to motivation in every single player, and especially when it comes to 36, 37-year-old Novak Djokovic. And also when you think about Roger, I mean, at this age, he won his last major. And even after that, okay, he was a borderline top three player. But his, the end of his career started, slowly after him winning his last major. So, unfortunately, I think we are not far away from Novak retiring. And we are going to see some bad losses, but, I guess that's the nature of it. So, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and see you.